Namaskar to all who are watching and a very warm welcome to the Festival of Bharat. We are an online forum that seeks to create wide-reaching content on diverse topics pertaining to Bharat, and in doing so, serving the cause of this civilizational principle we call Sanatana Dharma. Bharat has always been ahead of the game, so to speak. The modern day Indians don't get to see that today because of years of indoctrination and falsification of history and manipulation of facts. The result has been that we have a very warped understanding of our own culture. I have with me a senior scholar and academician today who will help us see just how forward thinking the Indian thought and mindset has been, especially with respect to matters related to social and sexual mores of our society. This is important because we've always been pegged down to be orthodox at best or amoral at worst. The truth is far from it. So Bharat Gupt ji is with here today. Dr. Bharat ji is an Indian classicist, theatre theorist, sitar and surbahar player, musicologist, and newspaper columnist. He is a retired professor of English and he taught at the University of Delhi. Presently, he's a trustee and executive member at the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. Much of his writing is devoted to classical Indian and classical Greek drama, comparing the similarities and differences and exploring the possibilities of common Indo-European origins. Welcome, Bharat ji. I'm so happy to have this opportunity to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much, Pujita. I'm very delighted to be with you and with this undertaking that you have done. I think it's a great enterprise for the young, and I am very happy to be associated and make a small contribution to help your efforts.
Thank you so much, Bharatji. I just want, yes, please.
I am here to answer your questions, which I understand are about ancient India, the life that we used to have in ancient India. You have chosen a very important area for investigation because we, in public discourse, know very little about ancient India. We make very great efforts to think well about it, which we should, and proudly about it, which we should. But the details are not known to us, and they are not discussed in public discourse so often. So what you are doing is something which is going to help people a long way.
Yes. I really, really hope so, Bharatji. And I'm sure it will, because these are very, very important, like you rightly pointed out. Important matters to be discussed, often not talked about openly, but important nevertheless, because they form the fabric of our society. So thank you so much. Bharatji, I just wanted to open by asking you about, these are difficult times, so I hope everyone is well at home. And how is Delhi taking has everything settled down? The vaccination drive, has that gone well?
Well, by the grace and kripa of Bhagavan Shiva, I and my wife, we have kept healthy under this great threat so far. And I have been working hard and trying to do my bit, so all is well.
Yes, I know your videos are quite popular online, and you've been pretty active. I can see that. And I'm glad that everything is well. So good. So Bharatji, without further ado, let me start with my very first question, which is to do with the idea of morality, the very tricky subject of morality. So what is because this is something that everybody wants to know.
Right.
What is the Indian, the dharmic approach to the idea of morality? What is immoral, what is moral, what is illicit? So is there a standard view to this?
Look, broadly speaking, morality means a sense of good and a sense of bad. What a person or a society or a group of people should do and what they should not do. This is the broad definition of it. What is karma and what is akarma, what is dharma, what is adharma. But then, for every civilization, the idea of good is different. The idea of bad, therefore, is also different. Because every civilization looks about the question of what is to be done and what is not to be done in terms of how that civilization defines the universe. What is the universe? Is the universe made for man only? Or is it made for man and animals and birds and all other sentient beings, and are even inanimate objects of nature, the elements, are they also part of the universe? Are they equally important or are they less important? Now, these are all very vital and fundamental notions that make up the view of the universe that a civilization or a culture has. And hence, morality is defined within the scope of all this. So, the Greeks used to call it, for them, morality was ethiki.
What is it called?
Ethiki, from which you have the English word ethics.
Ethics.
So the Greeks would say ethiki, but their notion of what was ethic or what was good was a little different from, let us say, the Christian version. And similarly, the Chinese version was a little different. Confucius thought of it a little differently. So you have to see in terms of that. Now, today in the world, as most of the cultures like Greece and Egypt or ancient China, they have kind of receded into history. What dominates is the Abrahamic concept of what is ethical or what is right or what is wrong. Now, in these concepts, in these worldviews, primarily the Judaic, Christian, and the Islamic worldview, what is to be done is following a command. See, this is most important. Follow a command which was given to us by our prophet. So there were so many prophets in the Judaic tradition, beginning with Abraham and Elijah and Isaiah and all that. And then comes Christ, who doesn't call himself a prophet, but the Son of God. And he says, do this and don't do this. And then his successors, the Christian church, they define what is to be done and what is not to be done. So this was the view till Christianity dominated the world. And then there was in Europe a revisiting of ancient Greece, and they thought that Christianity was very restrictive. And reading the Greeks and the Romans, they kind of expanded. They put in a lot more reason into this whole business of what is to be done and what is not to be done. And we had the Age of Enlightenment. And it is at this point that colonization began. And then in the 16th, 17th century, we have the arrival of the Europeans into India. And finally, by 19th century, we are in the grips of the British rule. So when we think of the West today, or when we think of anything outside India, our experience is not that of ancient China or ancient Greece or ancient Egypt or the universe of American Indians or the people of Africa or Australia. Our experience of the outside world is kind of nebulously called the West. And the West is largely Christian morality.
Correct.
Or Islamic morality. In this, as I said, great feature is that the words of the prophet are to be honored. So there are the 10 commandments given by Moses in the Judaic tradition. The Christians follow it. Then for the Muslims, there is the Quran, and the whatever is revealed to Muhammad in the holy is collected as the is these ayatas of Quran, and that is the morality for it. Now, Hindu morality or traditional Indian morality is different.
Right.
It is a morality based upon what may be called not the command or not what the prophet told you or what was given to you as an injunction, but it is based upon the notion as to what is the right karma at this given moment. Shall I do this or shall I do that? If my father says, do this, do I follow him or do I oppose him? It's not that I must always obey my father. Well, there is a general injunction that I should obey my father. But then, when there is a vital conflict of interest or when there are choices, then I have to apply my sense of what is dharma and what is adharma. So, when Rama was told by Dasharatha that go into the forest for 14 years, he said, happily so, because his father, he saw, was compelled. His father had given his word. He had to honor, his father had to honor the word. And so Rama said, fine, this is dharma and I'll follow it.
Correct.
But when Bhishma was told by Shantanu to allow him to get another wife in old age, then Bhishma, in order to please his father, got so carried away that he abdicated himself without thinking whether it was right for him to please the old man who was just struck by desire.
Correct.
Shantanu was under no compulsion to marry.
Right. There's no compulsion.
He was doing it out of pure sexual lust.
Correct.
And Bhishma did not tell his father that it was not right for him. He only went by the letter, and then we know that Bhishma Pratigya, although great, Bhishma Pratigya, although because he led a life of great asceticism and sacrifice, so it brought him virtual immortality. He could postpone death as long as he wished. He had great powers, but the consequence of his vow was not beneficial. It could not prevent a Mahabharata.
Right.
So in the Hindu system, by Hindu we mean Jain, Buddhist, all the darshanas of our culture. In those systems, dharma is to be followed according to the dictates and the demands and the needs of the hour. There is no single immutable injunction. The choice has to be made by the individual. And it is to be defined, it is to be seen according to the hour.
Correct.
So what is karma and what is not karma? I will decide to see if that karma is dharmic, then I'll do it. Although it may cause me a lot of pain. But if it is adharmic, I will not do it.
And
So,
the idea of dharma also is flexible, I'm guessing.
no, dharma is not flexible. Dharma is the eternal law which sustains the universe.
Right.
Dharma
But
is something which sustains us. But dharma sustains us through our karma, through our action. So we must have the sense to make the right choice.
Right.
When Karna encouraged Duryodhan to disrobe Draupadi, then that was bad karma. But when Karna told the Brahmin that he would give his kundal and kavach, and he gave it to him, then he did the right thing. Because he was fulfilling his vow of not turning away a supplicant. Because he was a Dani and he had to follow the injunctions of being a Dani. So he caused harm to himself and he gave away, knowing that this may bring, or rather will certainly bring him death. Now, this was dharma. But the same man made the wrong choice in the Rajya Sabha at Hastinapur. So you see, dharma is not something which is defined by an injunction. Dharma is something which is served by an injunction or by a karma. So if you make the right choice,
Right. Then
if you do the right action, then dharma is
established.
affected. Then dharma arises. If you make the wrong choice, then it is adharma.
Right.
But dharma is always that which sustains you. And if we follow dharma, that is, if we protect dharma, then dharma protect us. Dharma rakshati rakshitaha, has been said. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So the Indian sense of morality is something which rests upon your timely choice. The West has a problem about this. Very often people think, deep scholars in the West think that Indians are very lax and they are very, indecisive, and they can work out shortcuts and they can work out all kinds of excuses to not do a thing. And some scholars like Wendy Doniger always says that a Brahmin can fix something for you. If you are in a difficulty, he'll show you a shortcut.
Some other way, yes.
So the Westerners, they don't understand, and very often they think that this is a weakness because they themselves are used to black and white injunctions given by their prophet.
Right.
For them, that is the sense of morality.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
There is no initiated action.
Yes. There is no analysis of the
analysis. Yes.
It's very late that you have people like Robert Frost saying that I did not take this road, I took the other road. The road not taken.
Not taken, right.
So it is at this time that that the West starts thinking in terms of alternatives and in terms of the equal validity of alternatives. Before the 20th century, and this is when the West was fully acquainted with the Indian philosophical systems. So the earlier systems were not at all flexible under the question of the Islamic milieu. Unfortunately, Islam still lives in a very deep orthodoxy.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.